Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Legit Crypto. I'm excited for today's interview or guest, rather, because we're going to be venturing outside of my typical degen space, which I very much love, and venture into the space of some really cool layer threes. Featuring PAW Chain. And I am really excited to have a conversation with Brian, who's on the PAW Chain team, aka Soaring B Rad. I actually got in connection with him as part of the Crypto Coalition group, which I'm a part of. That's just doing some really good space, or really good things in this whole, Web3 space. So, as you know, I'm all about, having conversations with awesome projects, good people, and really just helping, this whole ecosystem grow. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring Brian on screen. There we go. What's up, Brian? Good to have you, man.
What's up, Kevin? How you doing, man? Thanks for having me. Gosh, I'm fired up about this, dude. Thanks for the kind words and the introduction, and allowing me this platform and opportunity to talk about PawChain and what we built, what we're continuing to build, and how we plan to completely revolutionize the space.
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, honestly, it's a win-win for me too, because what a great way for me to actually learn more about the space myself and what other cool projects are out there, and kind of what they're up to and how they're different. And dude, I love to kick these things off and have you give your kind of 2-minute elevator pitch, just so everyone
Yeah.
that's joining the stream that might, not be familiar with PodChain can get a sense. So yeah, 2 minutes, go.
I will do my best. Trying to fit this into a 2-minute elevator pitch is very difficult, but I think I've got it down pretty good. So here we go. I'm Brian. I'm from the PAW Chain marketing team. I've been with the project about 19 months now. Been in crypto since 2019, so I have some experience with cycles, with things that happen in crypto. But what really makes PAW Chain different is we just released a brand new layer three, first of its kind blockchain that is going to seamlessly connect other blockchains together to allow liquidity to be accessed from one liquidity pool. So, quite simply, if you're a project and you look to onboard, you just need to provide a PAW and your token pair liquidity, and you will be available for purchase on all of our connected chains. So, right now, we're connected to 6 chains: AVAX, BNB, Polygon, Ethereum, Base, and our native PAW chain, as well as Arbitrum, and we're infinitely scalable. So we can always add more chains to that connection. So the days of being locked into the Ethereum blockchain, the Solana blockchain, are over. And the current bridging solutions, Axelar, Chainlink, some of the other ones out there, they don't do it like we do it. They make copy and paste, and then they jump one bridge at a time. We have everything seamlessly connected at all times, and we do everything on the back end. So you have that one liquidity pool, that one contract address, and we're turning 4 transactions down to one, which I think is huge for when it comes to adoption. Also, in testing, it's been the fastest blockchain currently in existence, much faster than Solana. So we're going to be able to compete with centralized solutions when it comes to wire transfers, financial asset transfers, MasterCard, Visa, things like that. We're faster, we're more secure, and we're going to be cheaper. And I believe that's what I'm most excited about is when businesses, Web2 businesses, realize that there is an option out there, because I don't think current blockchains can handle it. ETH is too expensive. Solana is not reliable enough. I think once people see that, they're really going to jump on board. And I think we got that with PawChain. And that's just the
Dude,
beginning. We are building on top of this massive L3, and I'll get into it further, but that's about 2.5 minutes, maybe. I think I did okay.
you did pretty good, man. That was good.
Okay.
Man, okay. I got one follow-up question, because this just like had that moment, for
Yeah.
me. And that is, dude, you're mentioning the ability to pull liquidity from multi-chains. Like I didn't even consider that when I was, just kind of casually looking through your offering on the website. Like, wait, tell
Yeah.
me more about that, because that seems fascinating.
Okay.
Do I have it
So,
right? Like if I create a token or whatever, instead of
yes.
just pairing it with Sol or ETH or whatever, you guys give me the ability that I can actually have liquidity in multi chains, so I'm not isolated.
Yes.
Is
That's exactly it,
Whoa.
Kevin. If you were to create a token, right? You launched a
Uh huh.
token on PawChain. You bring that to our platform. You launch the name of the token, pair it with PAW Coin, put it on our swap, make it available, and it will be able to be purchased by any native asset that we are connected to or bridged with. Also, any other asset on our platform, on our swap. Right now we got about, I think, 10 projects on there. Two more are loading their liquidity now. We got 8 actively trading on our wallet because we do have a PAW wallet on our L3. It is up and running. I'm providing liquidity on chain. I have assets on chain. People have assets on chain. So it is working. We are using it, and we got so many other catalysts to come, like our external swap, to where anybody will be able to come in with a DeFi wallet, be able to buy their favorite token that is deployed on PAW Chain with whatever native assets they want. And we can do all EVM and non-EVM as well. We fully intend to connect
Nice.
to Solana and Tron by the end of the year, probably have about 20 to 25 connections. And like I said earlier, we're infinitely scalable, so we can just keep that thing going and just get as many connections. And when you think about it, if you're a project and you're looking to deploy, why wouldn't you want that accessibility, that user base, that bigger footprint available to as many buyers as possible? And it's going to be cheaper than like Ethereum. We're going to be very competitive when it comes to pricing. All
Yep.
transactions on the L3 are going to be gasless. There will be no gas on our L3 blockchain. We'll have a fee, but everything on our L3 will be a gasless transaction.
Wait. What do you mean? Okay, so you're not going to have any gas fees, but you said there's going to be a
Not on the
fee. I
L3.
didn't quite catch that. Not
There'll,
on
there'll
the
be a
L3s.
transaction fee to make a swap, to make a bridge. To do that, there'll be the fee, but there won't be gas fees, which can change based on congestion. We don't have to
Right.
worry
Right.
about congestion on PAW Chain. The way the blockchain is built, we got real time block confirmation, and our validation method is completely brand new. We're calling it. We had to come up with a name for it. We're calling it cross stitching. So think of it takes 5 validators. Think of the recycling symbol, the arrows. They
Yep.
circle around each transaction to validate it, in this cross stitching way that I'm not even going to get into because it gets real techy, but it's faster and it's more efficient than a lot of other current validation solutions. So that allows us to scale 55,000 transactions per second with 8 validators and go even higher to maybe 85, 90,000. And really, there's no cap. We can just keep adding validators to increase the speed, and that's what you need to have like a real world application to handle daily congestion.
Yeah, dude, that's pretty impressive, man. Like I told you before we jumped on this, I only do like a little bit of research just to kind of get my bearings, but I love to just kind of get the download straight from the source. But
Yeah.
dude, if what you're describing is actually true, which I'm sure it is, you're not trying to bullshit us here.
No.
Dude, it
No.
sounds pretty incredible. One of the things, so when we were chatting earlier before this, I think you mentioned you joined the team around April last year. Do I have that right?
Yes. I didn't join the team. I got into the project just as a
Okay.
community member. I had a family member who was telling me about it because like he knew I was in crypto, but before then I wasn't really in DeFi. It was just basic Bitcoin, Ethereum. I had to set it and forget it. Didn't pay attention to it. Didn't learn a lot about it. Started talking to him in April, and he said, "Hey, have you heard about DeFi, decentralized finance?" I'm like, a little bit, I haven't really dug into it. He brought up
Right.
PAW Chain, which was called Paw Swap at the time. Explained to me the vision. I did like my 2 weeks of research, like because I'm big into. I like joining the community. I like reading about it. I like to get a feel for what's going on. I like the vibes. I like the transparency, the way the team was building, the organic growth. I'm like, hey, I'm going to take a dive. And then every month after that, I became a DeFi nerd, a liquidity junkie, a blockchain junkie, just learning about all this tech and everything, and just to see the growth from where we came from to where we are now. And I think I joined the team in February, became an official team member on the marketing side. And it's just been just such an unbelievable experience to see something from the beginning, like a guy's dream, that our head developer's dream, to build this blockchain to solve a lot of the current issues that exist in the space for the community. And something else I'm really excited about is
Hey, wait,
we have no
really quick.
VCs.
Let me interrupt you for just a second.
Yeah,
Um,
no, go ahead.
so when you mentioned, the guys have been building it, how long have they actually
Yeah.
been building out this tech? Is this a few years in the making, a couple of
Ooh,
years?
I know the ideas and the dev team like establishment, like getting the guys that he wanted. Our head dev was multiple years, probably 3+ years, but the actual building has been going on now about 18 to 19 months.
Okay.
I'll share with you. After this call, like I'll give you a list of like a laid out of our devs. We got about 30 full-time developers right now working on this, and we had about 70 to 80, part-time devs who come in, build something. You know how blockchain development works. You bring guys in, they do a certain application, they build, but it is a massive, massive undertaking, and it's just been we're watching it develop in real time. The team does
Yeah.
really a good job of letting us know, like, hey, this is getting developed, this got delivered. We see that builds trust. That's the biggest thing when you're investing in a startup like we are, because we are a startup. Blockchain is you need to see that trust, and we really have that when there's a delay, because as software development, brand new software development, there's gonna be delays, there's
It's
gonna be
it's
problems, there's
hard.
gonna be bugs.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard. It's so hard, and I tried to explain that to everybody. But what's great is they let us know. They let us know there's delays, and our mainnet was actually part of it was supposed to launch at December of last year, 23,
Hmm.
and there was a delay with us with something going on. They let us know about it. We end up not launching until the end of February. Uh, did it kind of stink? Yeah, everyone was a little down, bummed, but they let us know. And every time something happens, they let us know, and that's all you can ask as somebody who's been in the space, been small business in the real world, Web 2 space, like what it takes to build something, to build a business, to build growth. You see it, and it's exactly what you're looking for, man.
Yeah, man, it's not easy, especially building product one at scale with this like
Yep.
emerging tech. Much less trying to wrangle a team of developers. Are you guys? Do you have a centralized? It's funny. Do you have a centralized team or a decentralized team,
Well,
or kind of a hybrid of both?
we're full. We plan on being fully decentralized, but we're like a hybrid both. And I'm just going to say this. This is just my opinion. I think in order to build any project in the beginning, you have to have some kind of level of centralization, or I like to say
I agree.
structure. There has to be structure. Somebody has to make decisions. Now, when the big decisions are made, we do converse with the team, the community. Well, like if we do have a functional DAO that has had a couple votes on it for like fee structure, things like that. But internally, decisions are made by the team. We're all KYC. 10 of us are KYC gold verified through Certic. Our Certic score is in the top 40. So our guys are just top notch. We got a multi-sig wallet to make sure nobody makes off with any of the funds. Like everything is out in the open transparency. And after development, when we're done building this massive ecosystem, our developers are done, and this is a multi-year build. They're going to hand it over, say, here, community, here you go. Here's the DAO. You guys control it now. Full, true decentralization. But I'll say with anything, any successful project has to have structure. It has to be run somewhat like a business. I think a lot of companies, a lot of projects fail because there's no structure and they don't run like a business. You have to have an idea of revenue and a control on spending. You have to be careful, or you can run out of funds and you can just get absolutely buried, especially in a bear market.
Totally. Oh man. I come from, Web 2 startups, venture capital, like the traditional startup approach, but
Yep.
I can only imagine the challenges that exist when you're dealing in this space, right? Where, one, you're dealing with the greater markets at hand, much less like our kind of crypto quote unquote micro market, and how that then plays into, the decisions that the team has to make, the deliverables, and just everything in between. So I'm sure it's just it throws such a different thing in the mix, which, yeah, dude, like at a scale or at a scaled team, that's got to be just something wild to consider. Hey, really quick, before I just ask one other kind of question on my mind, I just want to give a
Yep.
quick shout out to everyone that's in the live chat. Hector, what's up, man? Good to see you here. Who else we got? Tony Boy 22. We got a lot of like PAW Chain fans in here.
Yeah, I see Sir Shills and Bacano in there. What's
Sir
up, guys?
Shills.
How you guys doing, man? Yeah.
Yeah, good to see everyone in here. As a quick heads up, towards the latter part of the stream, we're going to do a bit of a community Q&A. So if you have any questions, definitely drop them in the live chat. I'll favorite them as I see them, or Brian will kind of catch them and remember them, and we'll go to a bit of a QA round, maybe in like 20 or 30 minutes or so.
Okay.
But so if you've got any questions, just throw them in there. All right, dude. Here's one thing that I love. I love to just ask, especially people that are in tech and startups. And since you're kind of on the, we'll call it the community marketing side, one of the things I would love your perspective on is, well, let me caveat by saying, I think successful products or startups can really do well when they're really focused on first solving like one core problem really well for like one core group of people. If that makes sense to you or tracks to you, I'm curious, like, what your take on, what's the one core problem if you had to focus on like that major one that, the team over at PAW Chain is focused on solving first?
It's simple. It's interoperability or communication. Communication between the blockchains, interoperable chains, everything, being connected through PAW Chain to allow the financial transfer of data and assets across all the blockchains. I would say that is our number one focus. That's what really sets us apart. That's our bread and butter. That's the main problem that we are trying to solve. Like, that's the foundation, 100%. And now everything else will be built upon that foundation of interoperability, and then obviously a high level of security as well, because we have to have a high level of security to be going, all through these other blockchains and everything going on. So I would definitely say that's it. It's the communication between the blockchains.
I mean, honestly, it makes perfect sense, right? Like when we first started this, and you were talking about even the liquidity portion, like I had that kind of aha moment, in my head. Again, I'm still dipping my toes in the water of this whole Web3 space with various projects, but like that has definitely been something it's been a pain point, man. Like even if I'm just like trying to buy cross chain and like having to bridge or do all these different swaps, it's like a pain in
It's
the
a
ass.
pain. It's a
Much
pain.
less it freaks me out, dude. Like I'm about to send $1,000, even $100, and I'm like, shit, is this gonna work? Right? So,
I was doing
and
do
that's just
something
the
on the base
consumer
chain.
side.
Yeah, I was going to do something on the base chain the other day for maybe the second time, and like all the warnings, all the pop-ups, this and that, and I'm like, I got to watch a video because I don't want to mess up. And I'm experienced, like I've done this before, and I just want to make sure I'm doing it right, because if you've noticed with bridging structure and protocol, every single application, DApp, MetaMask, uh, Coinbase, some of the other ones, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. It's not the same. It's confusing. And for my God, the people who aren't in crypto, you just bring up crypto. I see it in my everyday life, family, and you automatically get their eye roll before you even start talking. Let alone if you actually try and get them involved and then show them how to do it, your phone's just blowing up with messages like, "What is this? What just happened? How did this happen? Hey, I tried to buy this." Well, that's on the BNB chain. You need BNB. What do you mean I need BNB? Oh, so I can just go send it over here? I'm like, no, don't send your Ethereum on the block. You're going to lose it. They can't do that. Like, what do you do? Like, it's just, that's the problem we're trying to solve. That's what we want. We want to make things easier. And I think the easiest way to do that is to bring everything together, to unite everything, make it more accessible for the daily user who isn't currently in crypto now, because it's hard enough as it is. And I think that's the main thing holding Web 2, what they call wide scale adoption, these Fortune 500 companies out, is a reliable ledger system, a fast enough one, and one that is easy enough to use to make financial sense. Because in the end, it comes down to financial sense. And if these Fortune 500 companies realize that you can increase their bottom line, you better believe they're going to do it. Because right now, they spend billions of dollars a year in the financial transfer of assets. That's it. Imagine when they find out that there's a system out there that can do it so much cheaper. We're talking like 90% cheaper than the current solution. You better believe they're going to use it. And that's why I know blockchain technology is going to be a thing. It's going to happen. That's
Yeah.
that's why I'm so pro DeFi and pro blockchain. It's just going to happen.
Yeah, man. And it's funny because in my perspective, I'm a tech guy, man. I've been a big nerd on the computer for most of my life. So adopting new technology, like probably everyone listening to the stream, right now, we're in this really lucky place, right? Because while we're, in this really high risk, atmosphere, this really exciting atmosphere on the development side, it's so much to wrap your mind around, especially when you're dealing with anything DeFi related, right? Which, layman's terms, that relates to your money.
Yep.
So on one end of the spectrum, there's a part of me that's like, oh yeah, I'm in early. Yes, this is scary, but I can like buy these, tokens or invest here, invest there, while the normal person would just have no idea where to start. And so part of me loves that. But then the other part of me is like, well, if we want this thing to actually, move in the direction that we want it to move, what we need to do, one, is make easier tools for developers, right? And that's why I want to chat with you, right? Like the layer 3 is prime for that. And we've seen that in Web 2 with a lot of the no-code solutions that are out there. And we're starting to see it a little bit more and more in Web 3. And I think what that does is it unlocks more potential for, well, dudes like me or a bunch of other dudes to then focus on the consumer side, like the retail side. Like what's that experience to make the whole thing easy, right? So that my sister, who I've been like texting, I'm like, listen, Kelly, I got to show you how to buy some Bitcoin, right? It just makes it easier.
No, you go to Uniswap, you go here, like then you hit this, but I hit that. It didn't dude, we're on the same wavelength. It fully needs to happen. And at PAW Chain, we have a big focus. It's not only the end user, but on the developers, giving them the tools that we need, that they need. We have dedicated teams. We have 4 teams at PAW Chain on top of our Genesis team, which are the decision makers, the multi-sig, the KYC people, the ones who are calling some of the shots. But then we got sub teams, which I'm a part of. We got a marketing team, we have an onboarding team, we have a design team, and we have what I'm proud of the most, a customer service team. So when there's issues, like how many DeFi projects have customer service? Nobody does. Like nobody has it. And that's something that we can offer that makes us different. Hey, when you have a problem, like every project that we have onboarded right now, we have personally walked through the process of deploying their contract, deploying their liquidity, making sure everything's done, and they're taken care of. And we just had a migration from our ERC20 because that's how we got our start. We were on the Ethereum network before we migrated to our coin, our native chain. So naturally, you can make as many videos as you want and walk people through. People are still going to forget to put in a wallet address. People are still going to forget to send the second part of the transaction. Things are going to happen. Our team opened up 2,000 tickets and answered every single one of them to make sure everybody is getting their coin. I think they're down to like 22 tickets left where they're still trying to resolve some issues. But every single person, the devs went in manually to make sure everything was taken care of during our migration. That's what's going to set us apart.
Dude.
And, as a developer, come on in, man. We'll help you out.
Honestly, that's music to my ears. To like 100%. I think it's the most overlooked part of business these days that so many startups of all kinds, right? Overlook the importance of customer support, which, not to go into my own diatribe, but like, in some of my other businesses, that is exactly where I've set myself apart as a unique selling, position, a part of my greater offer of my, other products. And dude, I'll tell you, like people want that, right? Like people want to be able to, email someone, live chat someone, whatever, and get an answer from a human.
They want to talk to a human.
Totally. And it's okay. Maybe it's not scalable ultimately, but at the same time, when you're building something from the start, the closer you can be to your developers, your end developers, your customers, your community, dude, the better that you're off and you're going to succeed. So it's really, really cool that you take that approach, or the company takes that approach, because it's really near and dear to my heart for sure.
And the way we're going to, I think, be able to make it scalable is our strong organic community that we built. So we got literally hundreds of community members, if not thousands, who are very knowledgeable people about PAW Chain that can reach out and help people and steer them in the right direction. So in a sense, yes, we have a customer service team, and like you said, if we go to the heights that I think we're going to go to, there's no way you can possibly get a team of thousands of customer service reps to be able to handle everything going on. But if you have a community, those people, all those thousands of people, can stand in and help when they can. And then the
Yep.
major problems that need that customer support, that one on one, can get filtered through. And they're the ones who make it to the customer support team, be like, hey, this is a major issue. I tried talking to people in your community. They gave me some ideas. It didn't work. I had to open a ticket or I had to make a phone call. Like that's kind of
Right.
how I look at it. And I think that will set us apart as well, because I look at our community as our lifeblood. It's what makes DeFi DeFi, is community, in my opinion, liquidity. Understanding liquidity really makes a difference. And we don't have. I don't think there's anything out there quite like the PAW Chain community. Like we go on shows, we go on spaces, the way we raid, the way we hit the socials. We've had hosts say that there are most of the top 100 cryptos don't have the activity and engagement that your community has, and that's really special because you can't buy that. You can't, that's something that you have to have or you don't. And if you look at the history of blue chip projects, most of them, they either had strong communities or they were just VC backed. They just had billions and millions of dollars, which unfortunately a lot of these current blockchains, Tron, Ton, they're started by billionaires, guys. They're not really decentralized options. They're it's just a bunch of rich people's money, and they created a blockchain. Like I just the whole point of DeFi is community control, and that's what we have. And like it's something that I'm very passionate about, that I absolutely love about our project is there's no VC money, and that makes it much more difficult, yes, to get going. But once we
All right.
do, you don't have somebody that owns 6% of the project ready to dump the bag.
Let's digress for a minute.
Yeah.
Let's digress. What do you think about BlackRock's involvement in like the ETFs for Bitcoin and ETH?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, and this is just my opinion. I think it's what they're doing. I think they're selling a bunch at a time to shake out the normal average day investor, and they just want to control as much of it as possible. And it's rich people this seeing that, hey, it means that we're here. It means crypto ain't going anywhere, because when the rich people, what an ETF is a bunch of rich people who don't feel like learning about crypto, but they have a ton of money and they just want to say, "Hey, financial
Like,
advisor, get in after it and just get in there. Hey, Black, here's $10 million and give me some Bitcoin. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to learn about it. I want to do nothing." So I think that's kind of what the ETF is more. It signals to me that crypto's here to stay, but I don't necessarily think it's good for decentralization or anything like that. I definitely don't.
yeah, man, that's pretty. It's a pretty similar outlook to the one that I have. Like on one hand, I really do. I think it adds quote unquote credibility to it,
Yeah.
to the everyday person that would usually turn their nose up to it. But then at the same time, you're like, okay, what's happening here, right? Like,
Yeah.
well, what's really happening? So, I mean, whatever. It remains to be seen. Either way, I think it's more positive than negative, but
It
you
is
know,
bringing money into the market. It is
totally.
that there's no doubt about it. It's bringing money into the market. It's why I think this next bull run is going to be parabolic. Because I think once FOMO sets in, euphoria sets in, there's going to be a lot more money coming in, and then I believe it's all going to be really determined by where if we go absolutely insane, like $8-10 trillion cap, which I think is possible, is if governments start getting involved, because they already are. El Salvador, some of the other countries are starting to get in, and if they go full go, and the United States decides, hey, we're going to start a Bitcoin reserve, you better believe Russia, all the other European countries, all the other China, like all these other countries are going to do that to be able to, keep up, to be and make that happen.
Yeah,
And then the money's just going to get insane. Like it's just going
yeah.
to get crazy. I won't even know how to react. Like I just feel like it's just gonna, and the people that have exposure, are going to be in great shape. That's why I keep trying to tell my friends and family, I'm like, guys, I'm not telling you to buy a certain thing. I'm not telling you to do this, but just have some exposure. Get a little bit of
I
Bitcoin. Get a little
know.
bit. Just get
I know.
in. Just get in and set it
Doesn't
and
have to
forget
be
it.
much.
I'll set it up. It doesn't have to be much. Just 5, 10,000, whatever you can afford. Just have
Yeah.
exposure. I know you guys think it's a scam, but guess what? Look what Bitcoin's done in the last 15 years. It's only been the best performing financial asset in all the markets. That's just a fact. It's simple. So when I hear that it's a scam, I just shake my head, and that just comes from a lack of understanding. A lack of things being different. Everyone used to pay cash. Then now everybody uses a card. Cash is slowly on the way out. It's kind of the same thing. Right now, I think this reminds me of the dot-com boom in the 90s. I'm an 80s baby, so I remember the dot-com
Hmm.
boom. I think that's kind of where we're at right now in crypto with blockchains, with central exchanges, so many of them. I think eventually attrition is going to take over. A handful will survive to become the juggernauts of the blockchain space, and there will still be central exchanges, but I really think DeFi will be a legitimate competitor, and there'll be that handful of blockchain technology companies that will be the Amazons, the Googles, the FANGs of blockchain.
Yep. Yeah, it's true, and it's still a few years away, but I gotta agree with you. It's just going to become more and more commonplace as more and more people have conversations like you and I are having. The more this spreads out there,
Mm-hmm.
it's it's one of the reasons. And I mean, you say what you're going to say about like the degen meme space, which I'm in, obviously,
Yeah,
but it's the
it can
way
be
that I've
fun.
looked at it can be fun. However, here's the thing. I mean, again, say what you're going to say. However, I think there's the opportunity in that space once we shake out all the bullshit, and there's so much of it. There's an
Yeah,
interesting opportunity for more and more people that can't comprehend, like a paw chain, for example, or really what that
yeah,
means, but they can look at this stupid character and be like, okay, whatever, I like that, and dip their toe in the water. So it's
yeah.
kind of, in my opinion, done right. The gateway drug of of crypto.
I
In a
couldn't agree,
sense.
and it's funny. I got a story to tell about that. I remember I talked about earlier getting in touch with my family member to get me into DeFi. You know what
Yeah.
brought up that conversation? Pepe.
What? Oh,
I
really?
asked
Wait,
him,
wait,
I'm
wait.
like, what's this Pepe going on? Because I saw it like online. I'm looking through my stuff and I see Pepe. I'm like, 80 million. I'm like 200 million. I'm like, I just seen posts of people getting rich off this. I went to him. I'm like, what's Pepe? And like, it's a meme. He's like, yeah, it's a meme. It's like, like Doge was, because I heard of Doge
Oh
back in
my
21 and
god.
SHIB, things like that. And like, it brings people in. It does, because you want to know why? Because it's like you said, Kevin, it's easy. It's easy to just see that character, to see it like, oh, charts going up. I hit one button. Oh, it's in my little digital wallet. Cool. Now we'll look at it go up. And because it's easy. And I think that's the attraction to memes, and it's something that I think will always be there. It's just kind of
Yep.
a gamble. It's a fun thing, and I used to be a big hater of memes. I used to like, man, like, well, what does this meme? How do they keep doing it? But then I got a level of understanding to realize that hey, it's fun. There's a narrative, and if the
And there's
narrative is
community.
strong, there's a community, right? And the people get along, and they like each other, they like the idea, and there's that strong narrative, and they can take off and they can print, and there's real legitimate meme communities out there who are and then what I love is when memes start building, they start getting in a little bit of utility. They start doing things like we have a big project that's actually on board in on Paw. I'm going to shout out the Bob ETH token. I don't know if you heard of Bob News. They had the bot
I
that got
think I've heard
suspended
of
by
it.
Elon, and
Okay.
they were just a meme and had their bots, and now they're a whole project. They develop bots, they do all kinds of funny stuff, great things. They've just been building this amazing community and ecosystem from a meme, and that's really cool to see. So, and another thing I'll say, like what makes blockchains are is that first big meme. It's probably going to happen to PAW Chain, like that first big meme that comes on and goes parabolic. That's going to give us a name. It's like Bonk. Like Solana did run, but I didn't really hear about Solana much or get interested until I heard about Bonk. That
That.
first $2
Yep.
billion meme.
It's funny too because I think a lot of the power in that is the brandability, right? Because like you hear Pepe, you hear Bonk, you hear these brand names, so to speak, and it's again, it's just it can draw that attention, that curiosity to a given chain. So yeah, who knows, man? There might just be a some sort of meme on Paw. Um,
Yeah. What
the
the
one
projects we got on there now are memes currently. The 10 that we got on there. So
oh that's funny.
yeah.
Um, there's another question on just to kind of move out of that digress.
Yeah,
Thanks
yeah,
everyone
okay, yeah.
for
Back out of DGen life. Back it up. Back on track.
um before I ask this question, you guys, everyone in the live chat, we're going to go to a bit of a community QA section in just a second. So if you have any questions, please answer them in the chat, and or please ask them in the chat. We're going to jump into that in just a moment. So the one thing that I've been really curious about, since you're kind of on the community side, and you mentioned how you treat customer support and service, also how the community can kind of help rally and support one another. How, and maybe this is a product question, so forgive me if it's not something in your spectrum per se, but how have you guys approached facilitating feedback from developers that are developing on PAW Chain, using your tech that can kind of inform what you guys build next? Do you guys have any sort of process or cycle for that?
Absolutely. I'm just going to give a quick story about, and it's based on, feedback that we're getting because we have a bunch of team members who are constantly reaching out, speaking in spaces, reaching out to communities and getting the pulse of the ecosystem. And recently we had a run of AVAX projects who wanted to come and were interested in PAW Chain. We didn't have an AVAX connection. The team went back to developers and said, hey, can we get AVAX up and running? Within a week, they got the AVAX bridge live, and we are onboarding AVAX
Damn.
projects now. So, and also we plan on having a customer feedback survey that's like a 4 to 5 minute survey, like after a project onboards, that we're going to send to them and be like, hey, can you give us some feedback, fill this out so we can make the experience better for the next project. So that's definitely on our mind. We just go out and we take feedback. We listen. Like we actually want to hear what's going on. And that's why I think we're so focused right now on after our validator dashboards, external swap goes live, our focus is on the Sol and Tron blockchain because that's where all the liquidity is. So that's where all the requests are coming from. That's what we're going to focus on. So it's really fluid too. It's like as you know, Kevin, the
Nice.
market changes so fast,
Dude,
and you
so
have
fast.
to constantly have your ear to the ground to be like, hey, they want this, they need this. Oh, hey, this is new over here. We got to add this. We got to add this. It can be very difficult. There's no doubt about it because you can be building something, release it, and realize that man, no one wants that no more. We
It's
just
the
spent
worst.
2 months doing this, but man, you know what? Got to move on. But we think
Yeah.
about that. So we read the market, we analyze what blockchains have volume on it, what requests we're getting in the DMs, the spaces we're getting, the communities we're talking to. And then we try and forward project as well. We say, hey, what's going to happen in this bull run? What's going to be the narrative? What's going to kind of take off? And we kind of take that into account as well.
Nice, man. That's great. That's great. You can't overlook that level of feedback, especially from people on the
Yep.
ground. So it's so important. So I'm glad you guys have like some sort of structure in place. It's fun, man. Like the early days of building, tech, especially like the early days of something of this magnitude, it's fun. So like you should enjoy this time, as like crazy and wild as it probably
I'm
is.
trying. I'm
It's
trying the
exhilarating.
hundreds of DMs and this question, but yeah, I am. I'm like, I am trying to absorb it because I think you know what we've been building, and just from my level of knowledge, like I really think that this is going to be the next development in blockchain technology, the next blue chip project, and I'm going to remember these days. I'm going to remember what it was like when the market was dead before the bull cycle and we're crabbing sideways going down. Everyone's wondering when pump, why is the price going down? Why is this? I'm like, price going, we've been holding our floor for months very strong. Like that's the thing with the utility project. Yeah, you're not going to get probably the 400% gains overnight, maybe even more like a meme, but you're not going to get a 90% drop. You're not going to get a
Right.
95% drop.
Exactly. You're not
It's
going to get
like,
rugged.
you're not going to get rugged. That's the thing. You're not going to get rugged. And if you have the foresight to look ahead and to see the problems we solve, and I always look at it this way. And my grandfather actually taught me this: was when you invest in something, ask yourself three questions. What problem does it solve? Would you use the product? Would someone else use the product? If
Bingo.
I'm answering two to three of those, I'm interested. If I'm answering yes to all three, I'm getting in. I'm really getting interested. I'm doing my research. I'm digging up, and I'm getting myself a position in something that's going to do that. And I really believe that PAW Chain is going to do that.
Wait, dude, hold on. You got to repeat that again. That was a really good. That was a really good. What was okay? Sorry. What was the first one? I got to remember this. It's such a good barometer.
Does it
What
solve
was
a
the first
problem?
one? Does it solve a
Does it
problem?
solve a
Yep.
problem?
Does it
Will
solve
I
a
use
problem?
it personally?
Will I use it? Yep.
Will someone else use it? Like a
Will someone
friend.
else?
If
Yeah.
I told a friend about it,
Brilliant.
would they use it? So,
Yep. So
and to be
simple.
honest, Kev, it's worked for me in my because I have a traditional finance background when it comes to investing. I came from investing with that, and it's worked for me when I'm looking for projects. I study a lot of Warren Buffett. I really like what he does, the way he invests, what he does, and then I just take that into account too with one of those things. And I try and look forward. I try and look, hey, what's going to be big 4 years from now? That's why
Right. Exactly.
I got into AI stuff back in 2020. I knew eventually,
Yep.
like Nvidia, things like that, like these tech companies that are doing AI are going to absolutely explode, and that's kind
Yep.
of how I look at Web3 right now. I think multi-chain interoperability, communication between blockchains, like we talked about, that's going to be the theme this cycle. I think AI and Web3 is more going to be a big dominant factor in the next bull cycle. So, like 2029, I don't think it's quite there yet. If you look, I think a lot of AI projects are garbage, and they're just using AI. But like, we got AI, we got AI. But yeah,
Right.
but what does it actually do? What are you actually
Yep.
solving? Like, what does that AI actually do? Like, how is it going to provide value and return on my investment?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely something I've been interested. I mean, I've been interested in AI as well, just over the past few years. But I think you're right. It'll be interesting to see how AI actually moves into Web3 and when it
Mm-hmm.
actually really clicks, where it just doesn't seem like smoke and mirrors because it's the
Nope.
latest buzzword. All right, dude. Hey, let's move on to a few questions from the community.
Yeah,
I got a couple here, so
bring them.
I'm gonna bring. I'll ask you and bring these up on screen. So, and feel free not to answer any of these questions. So
Oh
Jory
no, it's
says,
all good.
Jory asks, Jory, sorry if I'm killing your name, man. Which blockchain is next to be integrated on PAWChain, if you can say?
I would say it's going to depend. It's probably going to be a few EVM chains because EVM chains are just inherently easier to connect to. So it's all going to be based on volume and requests. Like when we're out, and onboarding projects. Hey, we got three projects from this chain from Optimism. We got projects from Cardano. Like we got projects from these chains. But I would say with certainty, the ones that we're working on would be Solana and Tron. They're non
Nice.
EVM, so if you don't know that, but not, they're much more difficult to get a secure bridge and to connect to our chain because we're also a non EVM chain, but we're EVM compatible, which really separates us from a lot of other chains. But I would say Solana and Tron would be up there as one and two.
So those are the biggies, but the EVMs are kind of the low hanging fruit, so to speak, right? Like
Yes,
you can
yeah,
just
yeah. Like
yeah,
most EVMs, and no, we found this out too with AVAX. Yeah, oh, it's just copy and paste EVM, but every EVM has a little something different. We were ready to release the AVAX after a few days, but we had a little bit of a delay because found out their swap functionality is a little bit different than the other chains. We had a delay when we connected to BNB because the way they programmed their USDC connection was different. So we had to go
mm-hmm.
in and get that figured out. Like every single one has a little something different, but the basic core principles. Those who don't know, EVM chains, Ethereum virtual machine chains, they're pretty much copy and paste of Ethereum with little upgrades, little different things that set them apart to make it a little bit different than Ethereum. But eventually, the core code is all based a copy and paste off Ethereum.
Nice. Nice, dude. I like it. It's a good strategy. All right, let's move on to a couple more questions. Let's see what we got here. All right. Carburetor 85. What's the plan for growth in Q4? Again, if you could say.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of plans for growth and catalysts. If people have been following the project, we've been over the last 5 weeks really upped our marketing efforts, speaking in spaces. I've been coming on streams just like yours, Kevin. Just getting the word out there. We're going to be doing more spaces next week. We have a lot of catalysts coming. So we got our external swap that will be launching definitely before Q4, which will allow anybody with a DeFi wallet to come in, go to our swap, and then swap whatever native asset they want that we're connected to for whatever native asset you have on PAW Chain. I think that's going to be really big. Our validator dashboard is going to be going live as well. And then we have multiple bridge connections coming in Q4, as well as our point of sales system, which we're in contact with a handful of companies already who want to try it, want to be a guinea pig, want to take advantage of this situation. And what's cool about our POS is, a lot of POS systems, like you can only accept Bitcoin or you have to have another POS to accept Ethereum. It's not going to be like that with PAW Chain. You'll be able to accept all these different currencies as a business. It's going to make it easier on that business owner. So I would say those are some of our bigger catalysts, as well as just overall growth. Maybe an exchange listing in there. I'm not sure. As a DeFi project, we're not 100% focused on central exchange listings. No doubt they will come, but I think a lot of people don't realize that they are very, very expensive. If you don't
Really
have a bunch
expensive.
of value, like they always say, when Binance, when Coinbase, when this, I'm like, I mean,
People have no
if you
idea.
got 500 grand to wire me or $1 million so we can get listed, like go ahead, like hey, go ahead, man. I'll let's go, let's get listed, let's throw them $1 million. And then people don't realize when you're a stagnant chart like the market right now, a central exchange listing doesn't guarantee a pump or anything.
No,
Most
dude.
times it will go down. I was a part of a project that just got a pretty decent sized tier one listing. Chart's gone nothing but down. Didn't even go up at all. So I mean, I think people just need to realize that, and that's why I'm so big on just like education, understanding that there's a process of development, there's a process of building. The market works in cycles, and if you're in position to take advantage of those cycles, you're going to be very successful.
Yeah, man. Really, really well said. All right, let's see if there's any other quick questions in here. We'll do one more question if we can find one,
Okay,
and then Then I've got a curveball question for you at the very end. I got a curveball one for you.
bring it.
So I hope you're down. I hope you're down for some curveballs. But
Knuckleball,
let's
curveball,
just.
slurve, splitter.
Yeah,
Bring it.
I love it. All right, we got those two questions. A lot of people are pumped in the chat, but okay, we've got one more question.
All right.
Pale Vampire. He's actually part of my community. Let's just bring this up. Pale Vampire asks, could you describe in layman's terms how layer 3 works? Dude, that is a great question.
No, it is an excellent question. Just think of a layer three, like I'll explain this. A layer three is the communication layer, okay? We're built upon our own L1 and L2. Consider an L2, that's usually the transactional layer, or the one that offloads workload from the layer one to facilitate scalability. And then the layer one is where your dApps lie, your core functionality, where everything is built upon. So consider like a layer three, like that application that allows that communication and connection between all of the blockchains. Like I always describe it, like imagine the PAW layer three in the center of a sphere, and then floating all around it is all the different blockchains, and they all got like little connections to PAW Chain to go through it. And that's how I think of the layer three, as that intermediary between all the other blockchains.
let me add to this really quick, just to add a little bit of context for people. So the way I understand it, and please correct me if I'm wrong. So right, Bitcoin, it's a layer one, right?
Yep.
That's our layer one. If we look
Proof of
at
work, layer one. Yep.
the Lightning Network, right, with that can like handle multiple transactions, that's our layer two essentially, right?
Correct. Yep.
And then the layer three is how you basically can build, the dApps and the things that consumers use to
Yes.
access layer two to basically work with layer one. Is that in layman's
Exactly.
term? Okay.
Exactly. Yep. It's the word the dApps exist to be able to access the other layers and then other chains. Like that's exact Kevin. I mean, you just put it better than I could. That is very very well said. And something really cool I'm going to explain about our layer three is it's so advanced that eventually we might not even call it a layer three anymore because our developers and our team are finding out that we don't even need our layer one or layer two anymore. This blockchain can do everything a layer one
Nice.
and a layer two can do all in one chain. So think about
Wow,
that.
dude.
The type of revolution that represents when you don't realize you don't need all these different layers, all these different things. It's possible that layer twos can be somewhat obsolete 8 to 10 years from now if another application does it better all on one chain where you don't have the
Right.
multiple layers anymore. So like
Yeah.
that's kind of how I look at the development, and that's like what I'm excited about is its actual like true technological advancement. It's true development. It's brand new stuff, brand new validation. The blockchain functions differently than anything else out there, and it's very exciting, man. I'm very like you mentioned this earlier, Kevin. I'm proud. I'm excited to be a part of something like this because I think 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I'll be able to tell my kids, my grandkids, that hey, like this is how Daddy, Grandpa got started in this and was doing this, and this is what
Yep.
happened, and like look at everything now.
Yeah.
Like my grandkids might be using blockchain. They swipe a credit card and they're using crypto. It's like I was there. I remember this when they were building this, and man, is that exciting, dude. That is just something I absolutely love about being
Yeah,
in
it's
this
cool.
space.
Totally. All right, man. I got the ending curveball question for you. That
Okay,
I
let's
love
see it.
I love to ask. So let's just take PAW Chain, push it aside. This question is not necessarily related to PAW Chain. This is like my question to you as a human.
Okay.
If you could place a billboard anywhere in the world for one day, full 24 hours, where would you place it and what would it say?
Oh man. Um, Gosh, this is a curveball. I mean, immediately, I'm just gonna go with the first thing in my head that popped up: be Times Square. Times
Yep.
Square is
Okay.
just immediately. I've been in New York City a couple times. That vibe, the energy in Times Square is kind of like nothing else I've seen. I've traveled quite a bit around the country. I've been to Europe. I would have to say Times Square, and I'd say my message would be um, focus on the energy givers, not the energy takers.
Oh,
That
dude, that's
that's
a
what I
good
would say.
one.
Yeah,
Focus on the
it's
energy
like
givers, not the energy takers, dude. That's good.
if
It
you
says a lot
surround
about you.
yourself. Oh man, dude, I'm telling you, like I had a lifestyle change, back in my mid 20s, and the way I thought about things, and if you surround yourself with positive minded people, positive individuals, people who have a good energy about them, it will allow you to feed off of that and just have a different outlook on life. Like I used to
Totally.
get angry at things, I used to get upset at things, and now I kind of look at things like, man, I got no control over that. Like I'm just going to surround
Exactly.
myself with this positive energy, with these good people. Yeah, bad things do happen, and it's sad when it happens, but when I focus on these things, I'm a happier person. And
Yeah,
I
man.
think if
Good for
people
you.
just realize that you can separate yourself from that negativity and choose. It's a choice. You can choose to be happy no matter what your background. Like I've been through a lot. I've had a lot of trauma when I was a child. I overcame that, and you can too. Like that's what I would say. 100%.
I
Focus on
I,
energy
I
givers,
dig
not
it.
the energy takers. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that. By the way, I stole that question from Tim Ferriss. He used to always ask it at the end of his podcast, and I love that question. And here's a fun thing. If you're ever in the position where you're hiring for the PAW team or you're hiring people,
Yeah.
dude, I used to use that at my last startup company when I was hiring or interviewing a range of people, from developers to product people, and I would always end in that question, right? And it was always so interesting to see like the human part of the person who's, you know, in the interview doing their thing and trying to like be professional. And it can really tell you a lot about the person. Like it just told me so much about, you know, the human you, Brian, outside of this, you know, greater crypto conversation. So I encourage you to use it.
I'm gonna flip it around now, and I'm gonna throw you that curveball, Kevin. What is your answer to this question? You've been asking the question, so what would you have to say? Place, and what would you say?
So, I mean, I've answered this, you know, a handful of times. Usually my go-to answer for this is I would place it in, you know, between the Louvre in Paris and the Eiffel Tower, somewhere that's beautiful and heavily tourist. That people would take a lot of pictures, and it would simply say, "Smile, you're designed to."
Love it.
I used to, dude. I used to have this shirt like years ago. This is plain black shirt, and it had that saying on it: "Smile, you're designed to." Dude, I would walk down the street, you know, and I would get smiles left and right, and it was just like, I don't know. It just made me happy, right? We need more of that energy.
I agree, man, and that's, you know, kind of my vibe. As I answer, I couldn't agree more. And I'm gonna end one more thing. Like, there's more good people in this world than bad people, guys. I feel like the negativity is always just louder. The negative people are just louder. So if you remember, if you're able to tune that out, and realize that inherently, most people in this world, no matter color, creed, religion, whatever they are good people. They want their kids to be successful. They want to love their families. They want to have friends and be liked. They want to fit in. They want to feel welcome. I would say a majority of the people in this world are like that. So no matter what you're seeing on the news, the negativity, it's never as bad as it seems. So,
what a great thing to end on, man. That's awesome, and so much the truth, dude. Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this live stream up. For everyone that joined in, listened live, or thank you so much for being here. It looks like we had almost 450 people here on the live stream, which is awesome. And then for anyone watching the replay, I hope you got a lot out of this conversation. That's my whole jam, is just talking to good people, you know, in an honest way that are doing cool things. So, dude, Brian, I'm really happy to know you. Thanks for saying yes to jumping on this, and you know, maybe we can do this again in, you know, 3 or 4 months, and we can see where PAW Chain is at. And
we'll definitely get back together. We'll give an update and talk. And like I said, I want to say thank you for hosting, man. This was, you know, a very, very professional, very deep, very well-spoken space. I really enjoyed my time. And, you know, I look forward to your growth, to, like, you know, I'm subscribed to your channel now. You better believe I'm going to be tuning in and watching what you're doing, because I really enjoy your professionalism and everything you got going on, man. I'm always looking for content.
Thanks, dude.
Like, I'm a content junkie. So like, I'm just like on the way to work, on the way here, I got, you know, a podcast on, I got a YouTube stream on. And I really appreciate that, dude. And I look forward to getting to know each other a little more.
Awesome, man. All right, everyone. See you in the next Legit Crypto. And have a great night, morning, wherever you're at in the world. And we'll catch you later. Bye.
Take care, everybody.